Hello, everyone. I want to start looking at W.E.B. Du Bois's The Souls of White Folk. Just focusing on quite a striking passage here, just at the beginning of the essay. He says, the discovery of personal whiteness among the world's peoples is a very modern thing. He's writing about 1915, 1920, I believe. A 19th and 20th century matter indeed. The ancient world would have laughed at such a distinction. The Middle Age regarded skin color with mild curiosity, and even up into the 18th century, we were hammering our national mannequins into one great universal man with fine frenzy, which ignored color and race even more than birth. Today, we have changed all that, and the world, in a sudden emotional conversion, has discovered that it is white, and by that token, wonderful. Considerable irony in this essay. This is written in a very complex way, so you just have to have your ear open and attuned to the bitter irony of much of what Du Bois says, obviously. The last part, it is white, and by that token, wonderful, is bitter, bitter irony. But very interesting passage here. The discovery of personal whiteness among the world's peoples is a very modern thing. What Du Bois is saying is that racism, making distinctions based on race, and especially white supremacy, the idea that it's better to be white than anything else, is, first of all, it's a crazy idea. I think, as we would all acknowledge, absolutely insane idea, which I think he's really, pointing out how insane it actually is. But also, importantly here, a new idea. As he says, the ancient world, the Greeks and Romans didn't think in terms of race. The Middle Ages, the thought of the Middle Ages says maybe a mild curiosity about race, and into the 18th century, thinkers like Kant and Wollstonecraft and Rousseau and the universal rights of man. It wasn't about race, it was about human beings, right? So where did this come from? Is a good question. This race consciousness, this notion of white supremacy of European, so-called white European culture, where did it all come from? It's new. That's what's important to see. I mean, the kind of racism that is building up at this time is not an historical sort of heritage of the human species. It's a new phenomenon, which is really quite striking. That the world. When did the world get racist? Quite interesting passage. Just thought a little bit farther on the second page of the essay. Couldn't help pointing out this part in quotes at the top. My goodness, it really does seem. I mean, I'm not saying he has Kipling directly in mind, but it seems like a direct response to Kipling. My poor unwhite thing. Again, bitter irony. Weep not, nor rage. I know too well that the curse of God lays heavy on you. Why? That is not for me to say, but be brave. Do your work in your lowly sphere, praying the good Lord that into heaven above, where all is love, you may one day be born white. Which is, I think, kind of response to the white man's burden. Bitter irony, bitterly ironic response, as if this is what Kipling is saying to the non-white peoples of the world, the conquered peoples. Well, do your work, and maybe when you get to heaven, you'll be able to be white, which is crazy. But it is ironic, but look at what Du Bois says next. I do not laugh. This is not funny, actually. It's too serious to be funny, I guess. I am quite straight-faced as I ask soberly, but what on earth is whiteness that one should so desire it? That is, it seems that what he's detecting in American, European, English language, perhaps culture especially, is that being white is somehow a value, that it's somehow your skin color is some sort of virtue that you have, which is, clearly insane, right? What does it mean to be white? And I think that the next line is quite important, where he says, then always, somehow, some way, silently but clearly, I am given to understand that whiteness is the ownership of the earth forever and ever. Amen. Which again seems to be really relevant to Kipling's White Man's Burden. I mean, what does whiteness mean to white people at this time, at least? Perhaps still, what is DuBois saying whiteness means? This crazy idea of race and racial distinctions and racial superiority. What does it mean? What's the secret meaning of being white? It's the ownership of the earth forever and ever. As if the idea is that whiteness is a sign of your deserving of ownership of the whole earth, which is really what Kipling's poem might have been about. Maybe that's what colonialism is about, Du Bois seems to be saying.